What's good? It's Joy Boy, and today I'm going to be giving you guys the most dumbed down, beginner friendly metal guide that I can possibly make. Because when I first started playing this game, I didn't know anything about how to make these metals, and they're really one of the most important parts of the game. So if you don't know what I'm talking about here, obviously every character needs a metal set. So if you have a 5-star character or a 4-star character, you can put 2 metals on them, and a 6-star character, you can put 3 metals on them. Now you may be wondering, how do I get these metals? These things right here. How do you get them? Well, there's multiple ways. The first way is just by playing with a character in league battle. If you play with that character or you have it in your support, most of the time you'll end up getting a medal for it, especially the one you're playing as. If it's the character that you're actually using in league battle, then that's the one you're going to get the most trades for. And these medals are essential because they give your characters their actual build. As you can see here, that's what those blue numbers are right next to his HP and attack stats. These right here. Without that, you're cooked. So now that you know that your character needs a medal set, you may be wondering, Joy Boy, what medals do I put on this character? You didn't tell me anything. Well, I'm about to, alright? So you see here, Shanks is a runner. So the medal set I put on him is catered more towards runners. And the way you can tell is 2 ways. You obviously look at the unique trait on the medal, this one right here. So this one, when attacking an enemy in the area around your enemy's treasure, increase damage dealt by 5. You're almost always going to be around your enemy's treasure as a runner, so that's a good medal to have. This one over here gives me extra cap speed, which is great on runners. That's what you want. Okay, well, how do I know which 2 medals to combine together? Right here, the tags. This set isn't perfect because not all of them match up, but whenever they match up, you get an extra trait from it. So this one is going to give me extra skill 1 cooldown, and when I have 2 medals, it gives me even more. It goes from 14 to 20%. And you can always look at medals with the same tag by clicking on here, and it'll show you all the medals that have the same tag on it. Now these colored medals, they don't do anything different. A lot of people think they do something different, but they really don't. They're just to look cool on your profile. The way you get those is by placing in top ranks with a character for 3 seasons in a row. You get 1 fragment per season, and then once you have 3, you can craft it. So they're really cool once you're kind of late game and you want something to grind towards. You can also just kind of use your One Piece knowledge of which medals to put together. Like, for example, this Luffy, this is the Dressrosa Luffy medal, and he's a Paramecia, he's a captain, worst gen. So all of those, if you know about One Piece, it should be pretty easy to find a character that matches up with it. Now those characters, the medals that I just showed you, Dressrosa Luffy and Dressrosa Doffy, obviously you're not going to use those dudes in league battle unless you're going to get absolutely violated. So the way you get those is actually really easy. You go over here into solo missions, you click on 60-second battle. You're able to do this twice a day, but you can accumulate extra tickets here. Realistically, the only difference between normal and hard is hard gives you more bounty coins. So, for example, if I want to make some Bounce Man Luffy medals, I just load into a match here, and I'm just going to go ahead and complete this real quick. And boom, just like that, you get 3 metal fragments, which lets you make 1 medal for the character. Now the reason you want to do this a lot is because when you're upgrading these medals, you have a certain chance to roll the trait that you want. So let me show you how to do this here. Go ahead and upgrade these event medals, which we'll talk about in a minute. Throw one of those in here. Now if you look here, the only ones that you're really going to want are going to be the 14% HP, attack, or defense. Now, whatever class the character is, its medal cannot get. So since he's an attacker, you can't get attack on his medal. So just keep that in mind. These reduced times are usually useless, except for certain super niche circumstances. But you only have a 1.9% chance to get the trait that you want. And when you're transferring the trait, let's see if I can show an example here. Say you want to get rid of this. You bring another one on. You have a 1/3 chance, a 1 in 3 chance of getting the actual one that you want. And then you can re-roll it 5 times for, I think it ends up costing like 10 rainbow diamonds to do all 5 times. And Bandai will shaft you, don't get me wrong. I've lost plenty 14% traits trying to do this. So that's really why you want to farm a lot of the metal that you want, just in case Bandai decides to shaft you, which they will, inevitably. Next thing we're going to talk about is these event medals here. So if I go over to the craft section, I can see the current event medals, which right now are the Red Taro medal, which is like a child Shanks, I guess. I think Bandai's just making up these names at this point because how does it have Land of Wano? It doesn't make any sense to me, but it is what it is. Now these are good to have for one because they never they never come back. Once they leave, they never come back. And there's always going to be 2 event medals. One of them is going to cost 25 metal fragments to craft. The other one's only going to cost 5. The one that has 25, the benefit to that is it can roll these 18% traits. 18% traits are super valuable, but they're usually niche. Like this one is Roger Pirates, X Roger Pirates. And then if I look at the other one, this buggy metal, best thing it can roll is the 12% or the 14%. Always make the event medals, because once they're gone, they usually don't come back unless you decide to pay the $3 a week for this Metal Rush 7 shop here. And I'm going to show you that in just a second. I personally only purchase this when I see a medal I really want, because most of them are kind of irrelevant. I think this time I grabbed the Kami medal because it's good for defender sets, and I think the Rain medal for crit builds. But other than that, you don't have to use this. It's fully optional. But if you do, make sure you look at all these different medals, and a lot of them are really useful in certain sets. Now I'm going to show you the other medal sets that I've made so far, which I don't have a lot, but this one here, I've got the Wano Luffy set. This one is HP and attack. It's a pretty good one because it has all these different tags that match up here. This one I think is the same set, but I made it for Gear 5 Luffy. So it has the straw hat traits on it. This is a defender set. This is one of the medals that I actually did buy from the shop and put some good traits on it, because this medal's awesome. It gives you skill 1 cooldown every time someone attacks you. And this Kaido one does the same thing. So you're getting 4% skill 1 cooldown every time someone attacks you, which as a defender happens all the time. This one's for Jabra, another Luffy set. You can really never go wrong with Luffy sets. And then I have my runner set here. All 3 medals for when I eventually do 6-star the runners. The Boa set is amazing for attackers because you get a lot of skill cooldown and just tons more damage, which is all you really want for attackers. This is also a really weird skill cooldown set that I made, but it's all event medals, so it is what it is. Let's see, one more thing here that I want to show you guys. These crit traits, they're absolutely worthless. If you have them on your medals, they're really not going to do shit. So you should always get rid of those traits because they're genuine garbage. So never use crit medals. If people tell you to use them, they don't know what they're talking about, so just don't do that. Another useful medal right now is if you have a 6-star character and you can afford to throw an extra slot on it, make one of these Kuzan medals that has full ice ball reduction, because you get, I believe it's 70% ice ball reduction. Another thing you can do is use these metal transfer traits, which you can accumulate from login bonuses. Challenge battles are a big one. Sometimes they have them on banners. But what these do, it's a guaranteed 3-star trait. Metal traits that have these flat numbers, you can see it's not a percent. Only use these if you want to go past 70% in any stat on a medal, because 70% is the max you can have. So 70% for HP, attack, and defense, and crit. And then flat HP, your max is 1200, 300 max attack, and 300 max defense. So I guess if you're an absolute demon and you're playing Film Red Shanks and you just want to put full attack on them, you can use a couple of those 160 attack medals. If you don't want to use them for that, they're also good for putting on your support medals, just to make them 9-star. Now you may be wondering, should I just use the current event medals on any of my characters, especially if I'm a new player and I don't really know what's going on? Sometimes they're really good, but sometimes they're absolute ass. And chances are you already have the characters that you can use to make a decent medal set. Everyone has this Luffy here. His medal's not bad. You pair it up with really any other Luffy medal and you'll have a decent set. This Luffy, his medal's pretty decent as well. Just use him in that 60-second battle a few times and you'll end up with enough to make some medals. Realistically, that's probably the best beginner medal set, just those 2 Luffys. If you don't have that blue Luffy there, you can just use really any other Luffy you have. It's not that crazy, boys. And then the way you build your character is you kind of want to make them a set that works for their stats. So Shanks recovers a lot of HP and he does a lot of fighting, so I did as much HP as I could, and then I put the rest as attack. Kuzan, I kind of have a balanced set because he gets HP recovery, but you also want to stack his defense, and then he does do a little fighting as well, so I put some attack on him too. And then here at the end of the video, I'm going to go ahead and throw in a list of a bunch of old classic metal sets that you can feel free to look at and use if you have those characters. If you don't, just kind of keep grinding. And before anyone asks me how to make a Kaido set, I don't even have it yet The only way to get metal fragments for characters that you don't have is by getting lucky and having someone in league battle play with that character and do really good, whether they're on your team or on the other team. Like for example here, I've been trying to get these Kaido fragments forever. I only have 2 of his and 1 of his, so it's really just a game of chance there. But best of luck to everyone trying to get those. Really just keep playing league and they should come eventually. You'll really start seeing the medals you want if the character that you're looking for is in the meta currently, which neither of these really are. Blue Kaido a little bit, but not this Kaido. And God forbid you don't have attacker Kaido, because no one's going to be playing that man for a long time. But anyways, here's that list I was talking about, and feel free to check it out. Hope you enjoyed this video, and make some metal sets. Cook up, boys.